Hello, my name is Michelle. I work for the Bureau of Meteorology in Australia, and thank you for tuning in today. I would like to acknowledge the Tasmanian Aboriginal people as the traditional owners and ongoing custodians of Lutruwita, Tasmania. I wish to acknowledge the Mawinana and Palawa peoples, the traditional owners of the land upon which I thrive, and pay respect to elders past, present and emerging. The Bureau of Meteorology has been integrated with the Australian Antarctic Program since the beginning, with continuous representation of around 11 technical and observing wintering staff deploying each year, and an additional 4 forecasting staff, plus particular project staff over the summers. Winter forecasting is mostly supported from here in Hobart. For over 70 years, the Bureau and the Australian Antarctic Division have collaborated to support Antarctic operations and science. This relationship started with observations and expanded with technology into highly integrated forecasting services supporting station life, aviation, shipping, ice and land travel, and special science projects. Over the summer operational period, forecasters are deployed to stations and onboard ships. The Bureau produces tailored aviation, marine and coastal waters forecasts, traverse station and field site forecasts, and advice relevant to particular operational needs. Our aviation service must meet the Australian Civil Aviation Safety Authority requirements. My role includes supporting the Australian Antarctic Program by providing operational support by forecasting and managing the forecasting team, training expeditioners and station management crews, and assisting planning with determining project weather needs and coordinating climate data and analysis to be carried out by climate specialists within the Bureau. I also maintain training courses and standard operating procedures, which are used to train and competency assess forecasters who will be embedded within the Australian Antarctic Program and deployed south over the summer. The years pass by in a very cyclic fashion. The busy summer operational period makes way to a quieter winter, which somehow isn't quieter because we have fewer staff to support operations. Alongside operations, we have annual recruitment cycles, annual battles to have staff released from other sections of the Bureau to deploy the following summer, season pre- and post-briefs, which trigger our annual continuous improvement and integrated service design activities, and merging of new science in support of our weather and ice service. Two important factors are the requirement to pass knowledge between teams of transient staff and acknowledgement that each of these elements requires the Bureau and the Australian Antarctic Division to work together with the aim of achieving the safe and efficient delivery of the Australian Antarctic Program. At every stage of the annual cycle, Bureau and AAD staff are working independently but also together to achieve our goals. As a tailored service example, consider a forecaster deployed to station. A summer forecaster comes to me with the base skill set of an operational forecaster. We provide training and assessment to meet the requirements of an Antarctic specialisation with extensive customer knowledge and user-focused training. Before they even leave Australia, they're involved in not only their own training and assessment, but also in the operations of insertion into the continent, providing weather briefings for voyage management and shipping crews, briefings and forecasts for aviation of both the larger jets that take expeditioners to station and the smaller aircraft entering the program via the Antarctic Peninsula. Then they deploy. Once on station, they are up before the rest of station preparing the weather forecasts and briefings for the morning's operations, meetings, and any planned flights. They brief the customer, focusing on the thresholds and intricacies that matter for each asset, each user, and each operation. Through these daily and often multiple times a day interactions, the pilots, contractors, operational management and forecasters develop trust. In our experience, trust is the most important element of the relationship that results in a more efficient and safe operation. There are numerous rewards for both the National Antarctic Program and the Weather Service in being so strongly linked. The Antarctic Program can achieve a safe, efficient and agile operation, and by being so focused on the customer, the Weather Service may provide a high level of service to priority operations and maintain a cost-effective but highly relevant specialised service across the program with great role satisfaction. The Bureau recognises the benefits to the Bureau service for all of Australia gained from the experience of our Antarctic forecasters. Whilst the aims and rewards are high, things don't always run smoothly. During the 2021-2022 summer season, COVID impacts and structural change and a ship fire resulted in the AAD being unable to provide transport options to get forecasters to Davis Station. The AAD chose to not deploy forecasters for the season. They had no way of getting them out again and requested remote support of that station. On the surface, with a very quiet season planned at Davis with almost no aviation operations, this was feasible. We assigned forecasters to a remote service role who held polar experience, though neither had had experience local to Davis. The reality of the season was that the AAD were unable to provide appropriate communication solutions for the service to be delivered remotely. We have satellite Earth receiving stations at Davis and Casey, allowing reception of polar orbiting satellite data in almost real time. However, we were unable to get sufficient channels back to Hobart to support aviation properly during flight watch, and we were unable to provide our usual standard of briefings in preparations of operations from either Hobart or from Casey, our other weather station on the ice. As the season unfolded, the requests for aviation support increased to basically a full tempo season. Our forecasters were living in their home time zone, but working in a time zone 4 hours different, and as they were at home had their usual life responsibilities, such as parenting, to contend with. Although the operational risk belonged to the National Antarctic Program, the incessant striving to deliver an appropriate service under inappropriate conditions put our people under great stress. The situation was further complicated as the station leader was a first-timer who was disadvantaged by having to go through COVID quarantine for 2 weeks prior to deployment, and hence missing out on training opportunities that we usually provide for weather-based decision-making and operating standards. Without being immersed in station life, our forecasters were unable to develop the usual relationships with those they were serving, were unable to educate their users, and completely missed out on all of the ad hoc dinner time conversations that are an inherent part of station life. It was not a fine hour. Experience proves expertise, and time builds trust, and relationships need proximity to prosper. Through decisions that were out of our control, we appeared lacking. There were complaints. New expeditioners rarely understand the importance of the weather to operations, and even just daily life, when they arrive in Antarctica. Time and exposure to Antarctic conditions is an effective teacher. Experience leads to understanding, so until that can be achieved for new and transient staff, weather staff need to manage this lack of experience in understanding the context of Antarctic operations. While remote forecasting had seemed plausible, technology and inexperience let us down, and we had no avenues to improve the situation due to the transport and technology constraints. All we could do was learn from the experience and ensure that we don't do that again until technology conditions can deliver what we need. In our experience, Antarctic deployments become familial. Colleagues become family very quickly. Human nature is to protect our families, and forecasters often adopt a very protective demeanour to their flock. Weather service people, reputation and service suffer from decisions that are imposed upon us. We know how to deliver a good service. We need agreements between organisations to ensure that we're able to deliver. And when that synergy is achieved, both the National Antarctic Program and the Weather Service gain rewards enough to flourish. Thank you for your time. Despite the hour of the day in Australia, I believe I am online to answer questions, but feel free to contact me at any time on the above email addresses.
Thank you, Michelle. It's great to hear that you're online to answer questions. Are there any in the room for Michelle? We've got a couple of minutes. Okay, then I'll ask one. I've got one for you, Michelle. So considering the experience of the past season and assuming that you don't really want to repeat such an off-season again. Are there firm plans in place to bring the forecasters south again, or with the upcoming station or runway construction work, are numbers going to be an issue there?
Hi, Danielle. Hi, everyone. Yeah, thankfully the AAD received enough feedback from their people as well that nobody really wants to repeat last season again anytime soon. So this season we'll have our normal contingent of forecasters deployed to both Casey and Davis. And we're also looking at what developments we can make so that if another season does eventuate, that we can't deploy people, that we're in a better position to deploy remotely than we were last time.
Thank you, Michelle.